On October 2, 2019, Michael Richardson submitted his first FOIA request to LSE. One of his 4 questions was, "What are the names of the thesis examiners?" Rachel Maguire's position on October 3, 2019, was, "We normally do not release examiner names under any circumstances. However, considering the situation, it's whether there would be any harm to the examiners from releasing this information. If they are deceased, their names can be disclosed. If they are retired, there is unlikely to be any harm to their careers, but intense media interest could come their way. If they are still working, they could be potential harm to their careers, due to intense media interest." The records in the public domain prove otherwise. The Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, IALS, is one of 17 member institutions of the UOL. IALS routinely discloses Viva examiners on its official website. Simon Hicks, an internationally renowned scholar, was LSE Pro-Director for Research, Vice President, and Pro-Vice Chancellor between 2018 and 2021. In his CV, Hicks included a long list of PhD students whose doctoral theses were examined by Hicks as an internal or external Viva examiner. On October 21, 2019, Rachel Maguire responded to the request, stating that the information was held in full by the University of London and directed Richardson to UOL for the names of size Viva examiners. On October 29, 2019, Richardson submitted his request to UOL. Ignoring IALS's routine practice, on December 2, 2019, UOL refused to disclose the names of size Viva examiners, invoking the Data Protection Act. While Richardson was fighting for the names, on December 18, 2020, Kevin Haynes, head of the LSE legal team, disclosed the names of size Viva examiners to the Taipei Representative Office in the UK. According to Haynes, Michael Elliott and Leonard Lee examined size thesis in October 1983. Haynes found the information on pages 74 and 75 of size LSE student file stored in the LSE archives. On May 2, 2021, Richardson filed his second FOIA request to LSE for the names of size Viva examiners. LSE refused the request, claiming that it did not hold the information. On November 26, 2021, ICO issued a decision notice, finding that LSE did not hold the information. Richardson was unsatisfied with the decision notice and appealed to the first-tier tribunal, which delivered a decision on June 21, 2022. To convince the tribunal that LSE did not hold size Viva examiners' names, LSE admitted that the information we hold on file is only there accidentally there. It raises suspicions on the integrity of size LSE student file and the LSE archives in which size LSE student file was stored. However, the first-tier tribunal said nothing. LSE even submitted an internal email dated March 1, 2021, to convince the tribunal that the information in the documents accidentally landed in size LSE student file might not be correct. Haynes was and still is head of the LSE legal team, which is under the School Secretaries Division. The internal email dated March 31, 2021, was most likely authored by Louise Nadal, LSE School Secretary, who manages all legal compliance and governance activities on behalf of the LSE. Nadal authored most, if not all, of the internal reviews of LSE's responses to FOIA requests relating to size missing doctoral thesis and 1984 PhD degree. The internal email was about Haynes' email dated December 18, 2020, not December 16, 2020, as found by the tribunal. In his email dated December 18, 2020, Haynes only confirmed two Viva examiners, Michael Elliott and Leonard Lee. But the internal email questioned the accuracy of Haynes' confirmation of three Viva examiners. The first-tier tribunal failed to catch the mistake. Based on Haynes' confirmation on December 18, 2020, XX was Michael Elliott, and YY was Leonard Lee. According to the court file of the Taiwan Taipei District Court, ZZ was Richard Dale. Regarding size 3 Viva examiners, the internal email reads as follows: Richard Dale, named as external examiner in a letter from President Tsai to Secretary of Graduate School at LSE, 5 December 1983. Michael Elliott, who refers to my co-examiner and myself, in a memo dated 16 January 1983. This also suggests there were only two examiners, Michael Elliott, and one other. IC, Leonard Lee, is mentioned in the file but couldn't find him specifically named as an examiner. Based on the internal email and in view of the court file of the Taiwan Taipei District Court, three Viva examiners were Michael Elliott, Leonard Lee, and Richard Dale. Though the internal email questioned the accuracy of the information about size 3 Viva examiners, the questioned information is consistent with Tsai's description of her Viva examiners.
那最荒谬的事情是什么？我有3个 examiner， 是3个口试委员。这个因为我的论文是法律跟经济的混合体，所以一个是我的指导老师，一个是经济学家，一个是学法律。那个律师就说你的经济部分写得不错，那个经济学家说我法律的部分写得不错。这个大概是有史以来我们政治学院最令人惊奇的这个博士论文考试。
In September 2021, Tsai's attorneys submitted Haynes' email dated December 18, 2020, to the Taiwan Taipei District Court as evidence to prove that Elliott and Lee were Tsai's Viva examiners. Tsai's thesis was about international trade law or international economic law, but Lee was a criminal law professor at LSE in the early 1980s. He was not qualified as an internal examiner. Dennis Peng challenged the qualification of Leonard Lee as an internal examiner and a lack of external examiner. In response to Peng's challenge, in 2022, Tsai's attorneys reported to the court that the external Viva examiner was Richard Dale, a scholar and attorney specializing in anti-dumping laws. The evidence was Tsai's impression. Not Tsai's letter to the Secretary of the Graduate School at LSE on December 5, 1983, mentioned in the internal email dated March 31, 2021. In February 2022, UOL released a statement confirming that Tsai was awarded a PhD in March 1984 following the submission and examination of her thesis by two examiners. The confirmation of two Viva examiners in the UOL's statement is inconsistent with Tsai's own account. It is also inconsistent with the court file of the Taiwan Taipei District Court, according to which Tsai had 3 Viva examiners. According to the internal email, at least 3 documents containing the information about Tsai's Viva examiners accidentally landed in Tsai's LSE student file stored in the LSE archives. The first one was a letter written by Tsai to Ian Stevenson, secretary of the LSE Graduate School, on December 5, 1983. LSE did not provide and the tribunal failed to ask the reason why Tsai wrote the letter to Stevenson, informing him the identity of Tsai's external examiner. The second one was a memo dated January 16, 1983, in which Elliot referred to my co-examiner and myself. There are good reasons to question the authenticity of the memo. According to the 1983-1984 UOL regulations, the thesis title had to be approved by LSE before PhD candidates were permitted to submit an examination entry form to enter the examination stage at UOL. Tsai's thesis title was approved by LSE on January 19, 1983, 3 days after the memo was written on January 16, 1983. In the letter notifying Tsai's thesis approval, Tsai was reminded that the next thing she should do was to complete an examination entry form, and the UOL had to appoint examiners when it received an entry form. When the memo was written on January 16, 1983, LSE did not approve Tsai's thesis title. Tsai was not permitted to submit an examination entry form, and no Viva examiners were appointed by UOL. Elliot could not possibly refer himself as one of Tsai's Viva examiners on January 16, 1983. Furthermore, the memo was written only 1 month before Elliot wrote the letter on February 17, 1983, certifying Tsai's PhD exam to be held in the spring 1983, not October 1983. The third one is one document in Tsai's LSE student file that mentioned Leonard Lee. All these 3 documents accidentally landed in Tsai's LSE student file. But none of them was submitted to the Taiwan Taipei District Court to prove Tsai's Viva examiners. Since Haynes only confirmed the internal examiners, he only found Elliot's memo dated January 16, 1983, and the document mentioning Leonard Lee on pages 74 and 75 of Tsai's LSE student file. The page number of Tsai's letter to Ian Stevenson on December 5, 1983, is unknown. These 3 documents are obviously not the only 3 documents that accidentally landed in Tsai's LSE student file stored in the LSE archives. Haynes also found Tsai's LSE student record on page 4 of Tsai's LSE student file. It contains information after Tsai withdrew from course on November 10, 1982. And a date of entry that no Viva examiners could be appointed for Tsai's PhD exam held in October 1983. Ian Stevenson's letter dated February 11, 1982, on page 120 of Tsai's LSE student file indicates that Tsai's registration transfer was not approved by the LSE Graduate School Committee. Stevenson's letter dated January 19, 1983, on page 95 of Tsai's LSE student file indicates that LSE informed Tsai about her approved final thesis title on the same date the LSE Graduate School Committee met to approve her final thesis title. Stevenson's letters on page 89 and page 101 of Tsai's LSE student file were issued for Tsai to extend her student visas, but these 2 letters were inconsistent with the UK Immigration Act 1971. At least one document contains Tsai's PhD exam date, based on which Rachel Maguire was able to confirm Tsai's PhD exam date, October 16, 1983. It was Sunday. Who wrote them? How and when did they accidentally land in Tsai's LSE student file? These documents raise suspicions on the integrity of Tsai's LSE student file and the integrity of the LSE archives in which Tsai's LSE student file is stored.